Hi everybody, it's Yancy Alvarado-Cardona, one of the OTs from Louisville Public Schools. Today I want to discuss with you guys what an acceptable mature grasp is for us. What do we consider a mature and acceptable grasp? Well, there's a couple that we do consider a mature acceptable grasp. We got the first one, which is a tripod, 3-finger grasp, 1, 2, and 3. You notice 2 fingers are holding it and it's resting on my third. The quadrupod grasp, 4-finger grasp. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm holding it with 3 fingers and it's resting on my fourth. And what we call the adapted grasp. The thick pencil goes in the middle, right between my pointer and my tall finger. And I use 3 fingers to hold it. 1, 2, and 3. 2 fingers to hold and it's resting on my third. These 3 grasps, if you notice, have a really nice open web space. This is the adapted grasp, the tripod grasp, and the quadrupod grasp. They all have a nice open web space, and that's why we OTs make so much emphasis and make such a big deal about keeping the web space open for good web space stability. Now, we got those 3 grasps, tripod, quadrupod, and the adapted grasp. Now, we also categorize those 3 grasps that we consider acceptable, either static or dynamic. We like dynamic, we don't like static. Dynamic means that I see finger flexion. My finger joints are bending and flexing as I write. That tells me I'm using my finger muscles to write. If I have a static grasp, that means my finger joints are tight and static. The word says it, they're not moving. They're tight, they're stiff, and I'm using either my wrist muscles, my elbow muscles, or my shoulder muscles to write. A lot of these kids, you see their wrists are not even on the writing surface. These kids are the ones that get tired quicker. They hate writing, and it affects their letter formation. Their letter formation is not smooth. It's not appropriate because they're trying to write with stiff fingers and they're writing with bigger muscles. And if you think about it, using bigger muscles to write, you're going to burn more energy. They get tired quicker. These are the kids that fatigue and get really quickly tired when they're writing, and they end up hating to write. So we want to encourage a dynamic grasp. Dynamic grasp, I'm using smaller fingers, my intrinsic hand muscles. These are really tiny muscles. So the smaller the muscle, the less energy I'm burning. And these are the kids that are not gonna get tired when they write. So how can you encourage that? You're at home with your child and you see him and he has a static grasp. You don't see any finger joints bending or flexing when they're writing. You see that they're using a lot of their wrist muscles, elbow or shoulder muscles. And you'll notice this, it's really easy. You don't really gotta get really close to see if their finger joints are moving or flexing. If you see their wrist and it's not resting on the writing surface, that's a big red flag. You want to make sure the wrist is not in hyperextension, it's not in flexion, it's neutral, and it's resting on the writing surface. And as they write, it's resting on the writing surface and you see their finger joints going. If you see their wrist up here, all you gotta do is maybe just use 2 fingers and push their wrist down until it touches the writing surface. And then you can slowly fade those 2 fingers out. Now, let's say you have a younger child, a preschooler, kindergartner, he's still using the pencil with all fingers, a fisted grasp, a digital, which means they're using all their digits, all their fingers, not a tripod or a quadrupod. And the adapted grasp, we don't want to introduce that until we try to encourage a tripod and quadrupod. A really easy trick, break your crayons. Small pieces of crayons will effectively encourage a tripod or a quadrupod grasp. There is not too much surface on that crayon. They can't really hold it with all their fists. Even if they try holding it with their whole hand or fist, it's really hard. So remember, an easy trick for coloring, break those little crayons in half in small pieces. That's gonna encourage a nice tripod or quadrupod grasp, and then you'll see dynamic moving going, because in order for them to move this small piece of crayon, they have to bend and flex their finger joints. Now, you have an older child who's writing with a pencil. A nice trick is not to use big pencils. Use tiny pencils. The ones we like to sharpen and sharpen to the point where they're so tiny. You can use that. Now, I hope these little strategies are helpful. Okay, guys? See ya.